Greetings, and welcome back, family. Welcome to the Come Up, the Rise of the Entrepreneurs. I am your host, Rob Mccray for the Business Building Network, and it is such a joy to be back with you guys once again. Yes, we were on a little bit of a hiatus, had to take a little time out to take care of some things, get some business back in order, but we are back better than ever. As you can see, we have a new background image for the come up here. So we're going to have a power packed show for you guys this evening, and I'm just elated to be with you once again. And for tonight, our topic of discussion is going to be how to get back on track. And that is something that many of us struggle with. And we have a great mentor, speaker, and a counselor that is going to help us with that. And he is none other than Dr. O'Neill Walker, who we will be bringing out in just a minute. But before we do that, I would like to bring out my co-host for this evening. And she is none other than Christine Graham from Clear Ambitions. Good evening, my sis. How are you?
I'm doing well, Brother Rob. Welcome back. The come up looks awesome. I love the background. You're a state. And thank you to all the Facebook friends joining. You have such an awesome and loyal following. I see all the time the comments. And I'm sure we're in for an awesome show again tonight.
Yes, we're going to be in for an awesome treat tonight. And, really thank you for coming out and joining us once again this evening. You've been doing an excellent job, and we look forward to many more episodes of The Come Up. And I love the hairdo.
Oh, thank you. I receive it well, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, absolutely. I love the conversations, and I'm looking forward to Dr. Walker and what he has to bring.
All right. So let's get into it.
Okay.
So let's bring on the man of the hour. He is none other than Dr. O'Neill Walker. So Mr. Walker, if you will, come on out, sir.
Hello, greetings, all greetings. Great to see you all.
Greetings, Dr. Walker. Welcome.
Grand rising to you too, my sister.
All right, always a pleasure to have you in our midst. And we know that you're going to be sharing some great information with us this evening. But before we get started with that, we'd like to get to know you a little bit better. So if you will, just tell us a little bit about where you were born and raised, where you're currently residing, and how things were you growing up as an adolescent.
Okay, well, thank you. First off, thank you for having me on.
Our pleasure.
I'm an immigrant story. I was born in Jamaica. I came to Canada when I was a year and 9 months to my father, who was trying to start life for us. This would be 1974 that I came up. The unique thing is that when my father left Jamaica, he left the day after he found out that his wife was expecting me.
Wow.
And he left. Yes, and then he left. So I teased him, say, you left your wife, you left us. But he left to start life for us, and then he thankfully in the hustle and juggling of life, he brought us over. He brought us here, and it was tough times. His back was my bed for a year or two, while they stayed on a single bed, and from there they built up, and they're 50 years later, 50 years next year, they're still together and pushing through. I'm the oldest of four. My greatest challenges I had was education, through the education system. But fortunately, by the grace of God, I was able to find out who I was in the midst of the systems. And from there, I've been on a launching pad to bring others up to say, listen, this is the sky, and there's no limit to it. And sometimes the the ceiling that we have is our own mindsets and such. But if we can dig deep, we can fly high.
There we go. Well, love that. Love that. Love that. All right. So let me just tell our listening audience a couple of things about you. So Dr. Walker is a renowned keynote speaker. He is an author. He has a book that is going to be coming out in January of 2021. And it is I'm Worth Something.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So yes, definitely be looking out for that. He also has a dual doctoral degree in divinity and pastoral ministry. Dr. Walker humbly addresses himself as a lover of humanity and seeker of divinity. Now, Dr. Walker has encountered some adversity, as we all have in life. And, one of those things that he had to go through as a younger boy, was going through racism. And he had to overcome that battle. And there were many times that, he really had to look within himself to try to figure out why these things were happening. As children, we don't really understand why people feel the way they do because our skin color is different. But those were some of the challenges that he had to deal with as an adolescent. So if you want to touch upon that a little bit, Dr. Walker.
I can recall my brother playing by the railroad tracks. So this is, in the 70s. So there's not really too many signs about, where not to play or what have you. Just like, seat belts weren't really such a big deal in the 70s. But I remember being close by the railroad tracks, playing with a bunch of kids, Europeans, and we were painting rocks. I remember yellow painting rocks, and we're saying it's gold, right?
Okay.
Fool's gold, obviously, but it's gold. And
Right.
then I remember a child saying that you're black, and then I realized it's my first time knowing about discrimination. So it's like, we shouldn't be playing with me because you're black. And
Wow.
of course, it's something that is infused not in the child, but in the environment that the child is from. And I think when we look at these things, we'll find you have to dig deep to find out what is really gold.
Mm-hmm.
In that environment, I had to realize that I'm the gold, and I can't look at rocks and paint rocks and think that's gold. And I think there's a false narrative. And a false narrative with painting rocks is thinking that everybody's going to like you, that everybody's going to appreciate you, that everybody's going to validate you.
Right.
Throughout my years of life, throughout counseling, I realized what is worse than racism is pessimism. Because we can all be the same race, but not believing in ourselves. And optimism overrides everything that we could possibly face. And I had to move towards that vein. And it's been my life's duty to move my mindset towards that and to encourage people along that path as well.
Awesome. Well said. So now, going through those type of experiences, what did that really do to you as a child?
It made me angry. It made me frustrated. And when I see what's even happening in the times like right now, I think one of the biggest feelings that I felt was that of injustice.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that injustice in the playground when I'm being yelled at to not go on the slide, not going on the slide, not go on the slide. And I'm right next to the teacher the whole time. But she's seeing another child and she thought it was me. And when that child came right by me, she realized it wasn't, because in her mindset, all of us look alike.
Mm-hmm.
We're all branded by the same rebuking brush.
Mm.
And that is really hard to comprehend when you're a child.
Yes, it is.
It's harder to comprehend as a child when as a child, you're told to listen to adults. And, adults will have you sign documents, saying, oh, take this. Then I realized these documents for me to see psychiatrists or something that my parents didn't sign off on, but I did it. I remember having a pen in my hand and signing, and then I stopped and said, what's that for? And said, oh, it's a simple procedure. Now, as an adult, I realized you can't have a child sign without permission.
Yes.
So I signed off on a couple of things that my parents should have known of.
Right.
But they wanted to go down that stream. But there's something called destiny, and you're meant to be where you are supposed to be with God.
Amen.
All right. And one of the greatest things to happen was that while I signed these papers, and some of these papers were to send me to a special school, a non-academic trade school, a vocational school, that that trek is good if you have that skill, but not everybody has that skill. And then furthermore, you're choosing that career path for me because you don't believe I would make it to high school. I mean, I was told that I would not make it to high school. My parents were told that. My parents were told, and this is the terminology that's bad now, but it was big back then. They were told I was mentally retarded.
Wow.
So I've from earlier in grade school, I've been in special needs classes. So that should have been my lot. And a unique thing happened. January this year, I met up with former teachers of mine from grade school, and I shared some experiences that I had with the principal and what have you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I said, I had signed some papers, and the principal wasn't for me, and I believe I should have been gone. He had different plans for me, educational wise. And then my teacher that I met up with, who's in his 70s now, mid 70s, he said, well, I didn't let that happen. I said, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, there was a form that was supposed to go in to say you're supposed to go to this kind of education, but I kind of forgot to put that form in.
Wow.
So, it could have been a different path.
Definitely.
But,
definitely.
There's unseen eye watching over us that we can't see. And that eye does not blink. That eye does not wink. Those eyes are not missing anything. And those eyes are the most optimistic eyes that sees our purpose, that sees our destiny, that sees our potential, that sees our worth. And if we can lock eyes with these omnipotent eyes to realize who we are, life would change drastically for us.
Tremendously. Yes. Christine, floor is yours.
I absolutely. I'm just I'm soaking in every bit of the story and just looking at the dynamics. What stood out for me, Dr. Walker, is optimistic is worse than racism, and the mindset of getting unstuck starts with self-worth, and that's where I pause for this, the positive mental attitude that is necessary throughout your life. Of course, as a child, you don't know that. There's certain things that innately, and you would know better than I, being a therapist, in regards to things that you're born with, your innate instinct, if you will. It sounds like from, a young man, you had that resolve within yourself that, you're going to be better than a mindset of not belonging. So that leads me into, if you can walk us through how you actually encourage your patients, your clientele, if you will, on keeping a positive mental attitude, as we know, the habits, the thoughts, and the actions. What really, and keeping those three things in mind, habits, thoughts, actions, what do you suggest to your clients that you can share with us? How do you get unstuck from life? That treadmill that we find ourselves on from time to time. I think, Rob, that we have Dr. Walker might have some technical difficulties. Is that right?
Yeah, it looks like we lost him.
Okay.
Let's just give him a couple minutes.
So while he's coming on, I'm going to expand on habits, thoughts, and actions. So habits and getting unstuck. The profound thing is we all have habits, and when you hear the word habit, automatically your brain thinks of something negative. But there are positive habits.
Yes, there are.
And so one of the things that you can actually, if you will, trick your mind into, welcome back, Dr. Walker. I was just going into a tidbit on habits, and then I'll reiterate my question to you, sir. So finishing up on my thoughts on habits, we all have habits, and habits are automatically defaulted to a negative. And I was just sharing that actually we have positive habits. We all do.
Yes.
So tricking your mind into celebrating the positive habits you have, instead of looking at what the negative is. I think that, and Dr. Walker, you can support me on this, yay or nay, that leads to developing a better positive mental attitude towards yourself. So Dr. Walker, in regards to my question to you now, optimism, you said, is worse than racism. And that being said, can you share with us, what is it that you encourage your clientele with, being a therapist, on habits, thoughts, and actions? How do those three things, how do you get unstuck by connecting habits, thoughts, and actions? What are some tidbits that you give to your clients?
Okay, well, first off, I'd like to say that I'm a registered clinical counselor. And some therapists, just by the educational track, they would some may feel offended. Whatever. I am a counselor. Everything starts off with how we view ourselves. I grew up hearing this: sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. Our thought life is the most important component of us. If I could wear the pastoral hat, we'll find out that it's the mind that God created. When he breathed life into us, it was more than oxygen. What he breathed into us was the composition of conscientiousness. He also breathed in the imagery of intelligence. This is us. So what is greater than a mind? It's the spirit that breathed life into this. So when I realized that the spirit is more powerful, I need to connect to the spirit man more than the intellectual component of me, because the mind moves on facts while the spirit aligns itself with truth. So truth is being told that there's more to us than meets the eye. Going on a report card with our children, we said that, you know what, I passed, I got 50%. Because you put forth 50%, but there's really 85% in you. So the facts are, but the truth is. And it's for us to move forward, to clear the thought path and to go forward. A mindset is more powerful than a set mind. Every day.
Strong.
What I mean by that is that we have a brain, this 3-pound composition that's, gray in color. We take on impulses from the exterior, and then we're able to bring that into fruition of what it is. But within that is what you put in, you get out.
So that being said, the mindset is greater than a set mind.
Yes.
If you were to give us an idea as an eureka or an aha moment of where a time and place where you had to come to that resolve yourself?
I realized that one particular moment was when my wife was in a car accident on the day of my book launch. My wife was rear-ended by a truck and she almost smashed into a telephone pole on that day. Having that happen, she was out of work. Being an educator, educational assistant in the Peel District School Board where I live at that time, I was out of work. So both incomes, there was no income coming in. We had to do some refinancing because we were both out of work, and we had a young baby as well as 2 teenage daughters. It was dark times. Dark time. That's the facts. But in the struggles, it also is an opportunity for us to dig within ourselves and to see who we are during this time of adversity. Grapes have to be crushed to make wine, and life has a way of just crushing us. The system that we live in, the world, it's a crush. It is a fight. The pandemic is a physical thing, but pandemic is also a mental thing. There's a spiritual pandemic in which sometimes you feel like you're just not being able to breathe. And this goes beyond a mask. You're isolated. Stress and struggles can isolate us. It's meant to crush us. And during that time, I had to look within myself, say, well, there's no job out here and I need to do something. What can I do right now to make things change for myself and the future of my family? And is at that time I said, well, I realized that I have a skill. I'm able to work with special needs kids. And I made a phone call to a friend of mine. I said, if you know of anybody that's looking to work with special needs kids for the summer, I'm available and I'm looking. I never did a individual business before, but I dug into that and that became a launching pad. And then I began to just word of mouth just came out. I'd meet somebody I knew that came off the school bus. I'd meet their parents. Oh, hi, how you doing? I'm a residential, I'm a respite worker, and I'd know if you need services for your son. Here's my number. I'll make myself available. We can talk. And that's what started off. But I had to dig deep within myself. The set mind took on the facts that it's rough times, it's hard times. I'm refinancing everything. I don't have anything in. But the set mind was saying that I can do something. I can make it. I can take a chance. I can take a risk. And this is what we have to do. So as I made mention, what's worse than racism? It's pessimism.
Pessimism.
Because that stops me.
So that it sounds like self-destructive mindsets, behaviors, and so forth. Before I turn it back over to Rob, I just wanted to ask, do you find, I might get myself in trouble with this, is there a gender gap with this mindset? Do you find that men are more optimistic in your field, in your practice, in your doctorate, of course, in a pastor? What's the experience?
Well, I will say that in my field of education, I'd say that there's more women in there. There's way more Black women in there. In the pastoral segment, there's much more men, but I also believe that there's some biases too, that systematic biases or what have you.
Sorry, Dr. Walker, when you say more Black women in there, what do you mean in there?
In the educational field.
Okay. I was asking, and probably wasn't that clear, but that's good information in that sense. But I want to know, in your experience in counseling, do you find that the men have more, or whether it be just life in general, do you find in general men have a more optimistic, attitude towards challenges in life, or do you use it the females that you find are more, do or die attitudes? I'm not, I just.
Okay, I can answer that. The fact that the women are coming to me, the women have a way more optimistic chance.
Really?
Yes, from what I find, because the men, nothing's wrong with the men. I don't want anybody in my business. It's a failing business.
We just don't want to admit it.
Yeah, it's a failing business. I don't want anybody in there. They're not fixing anything. We're good. We're good. We're not arguing. We're good. You haven't talked. You haven't spoken to her. There's no communication. So definitely, because in order for you to see yourself, you have to look.
Yes.
And people.
Okay, so let's pause there for a minute. For someone who says, I'm good. Now, what's wrong with it? Wouldn't that be a positive mental attitude? They're trying to keep positive. They're trying to affirm.
Clarity is the best policy, Lady Graham. So one of the things I ask for always, one of my methods, what do things sound like, look like, or feel like?
Sound like, look like, or feel like, right?
Yeah. So if you're saying you're good, what does that look like? Well, it means that I brought home the money. She sees me every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what does that feel like? Well, it feels, she should feel good because I'm here every day. What does that look like? Well, it looks like I'm here. You see me. All I do is sit in front of the TV and play video games. So I don't know what she's complaining about. I'm here. I'm not on the road or anything like that. I'm right here. If she needs me, she knows where to find me. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So there's a undercurrent, covert pessimism.
Sometimes there is, and sometimes they don't even realize it.
Okay.
And sometimes they don't want to come to terms.
That's concerning to me, Rob. If you give me some grace here, I want to dive into that one piece.
Sure.
With that, what you just said, Dr. Walker, where you're thinking the women have more of an optimism. What does that look like, feel like? Because
it looks like they do not want to give up on the relationship. That's what it looks like. While it feels like they can't go any further, they're reaching out for help.
okay.
They're at the breaking point, and at that breaking point, they desire a turning point.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. That's very deep.
That helps. I hope that helps.
It does. It does. Thank you.
That was very good. Very good. So I want to touch back on something Christine was talking about in terms of habits. And that's why I brought up this particular slide here. Don't let your inner me become your greatest enemy. So what does that mean? Well, many times we have a negative circle of influence in being surrounded by people that are always passing off negative thoughts and a negative vibe. That becomes your circle of influence. And as time goes on, you will start to take on those beliefs. So if they're constantly feeding you negative information and, becoming a deterrent on things that you want to do, then that starts to register inside. And you start to believe that, and you take on that initiative. And then you start to have doubt in the things that you can accomplish. And that's when your inner me can become your greatest enemy. So, Dr. Walker, my question to you is, how do we create that shield, so to speak, to protect us from consuming this negative energy?
the things that we really have to see and come in contact with is our purpose. Our purpose. Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream." And that is beyond your scope. That is beyond your circumstance. That's beyond what is tangible. That's beyond what you deem to be accountable, that dream. But I'm not looking at it as something where you are sleeping or a mere aspiration. I look at it as DREAM, divine revelation exclusively after me. Divine revelation exclusively after me. In other words, what God is saying about me. And there's something that within every human being that we just can't shake. That just tells us that our heart is supposed to be knitted right here, that our hands are supposed to be touching right here, and our feet are supposed to be walking this direction in the midst of everybody around us, in the midst of our circle, in the midst of our circumstance, in the midst of what we've been told. I can recall being like 6 years old, and I'm in the back of, I'm sitting at the back of the class, but I'm writing my name OKW, my initials O and W in crayon, like big orange crayon. You can tell I love the color orange, right? I'm just writing that, and I'm just looking at it because something was telling me my name is going to mean something.
Wow.
That's just that divine revelation exclusively after me. It's bigger than what you've been told, because in life, it's not so much what people tell you, it's what you tell yourself.
Yes, that is the key. That is the key.
Do I have a few minutes to tell a story?
Tell
Absolutely.
It's not even about me. It's a person that I'm rapping with. He's an immigrant himself, and he, let's just say it was a non-black man that he was shadowed because he wanted to get into business for himself. He was great with his hands. He's very, manual dexterity was, really, really high. And he wanted to be mentored. He wanted to learn the skills of particular trades. Right now he's working on houses and what have you. But he just came in. There's a person that could paint, and that person was just an amazing painter, detailed, could cut lines, didn't need any a ruler or such like, or any kind of device, could just do it like you're just blinking an eye. He did an awesome job, and he shadowed him and he followed him along. And he said, can you show me how to do this? Can you show me how to do this? Please, I want to learn this. This is awesome. And that man looked at him and said, why would I give my skills to a monkey?
What?
Yeah, that's what he said. Why would I waste my skills on a monkey? And he said, well, I don't see any other race or anything like that doing that or following me behind. So just teach me. In other words, monkey see, this monkey sees, this monkey wants to do. Right? I said, all right. And that teacher, that painter made things so difficult for him. I mean, he would, accidentally kick over the paint and he had to clean it up. But that monkey wanted to. That monkey mastered it. Right? Because that monkey was hungry. Now, the painter now would paint and we smoking. Now that painter has lung cancer. While that monkey is making homes for an established company. So would you rather be a working monkey or a smoked salmon?
That's a great story.
But, what am I saying? The mindset.
Yes.
Mindset.
Was, if you're going to call me a monkey, let me be the best monkey I could possibly be.
Wow. Okay. Okay. That is a great analogy of the mindset and a set mind. I love it. I love it. It's an insult. And monkey, you automatically think it's someone of a brown or black
That's
skin.
right.
Monkey could be of any race, really.
Yeah.
It's an but at the end of the day, you know where you're going. So you sit there, you know where you're going, you set your mind where you're going. And that whole attitude of kicking over the paint, it happens in the office, it happens all over. And I just trust that someone on Facebook can be encouraged by that, because someone's kicking over someone's paint as we speak. Keep it up. Don't let it up.
Lady Graham, we can kick over, somebody can kick our paint, but they can't kick our purpose.
All right. All right. This is a great conversation. This is a great conversation on the come up tonight. I love it.
Yes, indeed.
I'm just trying to come up. That's all I'm trying to do. I mean, this is really set. Look at the grand rising of entrepreneurs here. You know, I've just seen one entrepreneur, and look at that house. Can you imagine a bunch of them?
Oh man, I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
But
yeah,
the beautiful thing with that story for me, the beautiful thing about that story is that he wanted to do something with his hands in regards to building, but he didn't end up starting building. He started painting. Now he's a master painter and a master builder. You see, God puts things within our grasp, but we have to recognize it. So if it's just breadcrumbs, guess what? It's still bread.
It's still bread.
Put them together.
This is good. This is good. This is really good.
And it's filling, man.
This is really good. I'm telling you, because you can put those breadcrumbs in some meatballs. Okay, then. I love it. Facebook friends, tune in on the come up. We're coming back next week. I'm so excited. I'm inviting myself back.
Come on in,
Dr. Walker.
Yeah. To our Facebook and our YouTube family as well. All right, so Dr. Walker, let me ask you this now. Staying in line with the theme now. So family out there listening as well, I want to ask you guys this question now. So think about some of the bad habits that you would like to change, and think about some good things, some positive habits that you have, and type them in the comments section. And we're going to do a little exercise here to help you guys to eliminate some of those bad habits that you might not even be aware of, but you're doing them subconsciously because you've been doing it for so long that it just has become a part of you. And what you're doing, it might be something that is truly holding you back. So Dr. Walker, my question to you are there any daily routines or habits that you use to make sure that you're always consistent and staying on the right path?
Yes, there is, sir. One of them is prayer. Take prayer from me, and I'm just a mess because I need that daily guidance, because we don't have any idea what life will bring our way. And that's why we really have to be kind to one another, because we honestly don't know what our neighbor is going through. We all have this, we all put on a smile, you know, but if you look from far, it's not really a smile. It's somebody that's gritting their teeth, right? And look close up, way up, you know, and see that they're just doing their endeavor best, right? What I have to do for myself is that I constantly repeat, on my phone. I'll have a to-do list on my phone. I'll have sticky notes on my desk. I'll have sticky notes on my bookshelf, and then I'll be able to check it off once I do it. I personally need that because I have so much hats that is bound to get something will be left behind, and
Right,
the whole
right.
goal is not to. Sometimes it will mean that I'll have some outlines or something, and I'll put it down and I'll put my keys on top of it. So that way I'll know that, oh yeah, I have to this to do, because once I pick up my keys, I see this. It's something what we have to do is that we have to work against ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we know nobody knows ourselves more than us. So
True.
we have to do everything we can to safeguard that, because it's easy to fall into a rut. It's easy to fall into a rut. So we need to have some accountability partners that
Yes.
love us enough to tell us the truth.
Yep.
Right? I have my father for that.
Okay.
Doesn't matter what kind of sermon I may preach or anything like that. There'll be one. I know he's listening, because there'll be one line right in the middle, right? Or I'll get a call and say, "Doctor, you goof." Jamaican accent, "Doctor, you goof," right? But it's to listen. It's to listen to that. We need to have these individuals that we know that wish us well, and there should be that circle. We look at LeBron James.
Yes.
Lay aside his skills as a basketball player, right? Because there's no debate how good he is. There's a debate if he's greater than Jordan. That's everybody. Everybody has an opinion. But individuals in the inner city, his bunch of friends that just had that dream, and he kept that circle.
Yep.
And he kept that young lady.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yep.
These are accountability partners that help to shape you and say, "Hey, you're slipping. You're slipping."
That's right.
But sometimes we think that we have time, but there's two things we shouldn't waste in this life: time and words.
Amen. Amen. All right. So let's look at this comment here by our brother Tim Chronicle. And I think this is something that we all have some struggles with, and that is procrastination. He says, "I can help anyone come up, but when it comes to me, I linger with what I need to do to move forward." Yes, Tim, and yeah, I can attest to that. That is something that I struggle with myself. And not sure about you guys, but if you want to speak on that.
Procrastination?
Yes.
Procrastination. No, and I think it would be the opposite for me. It wouldn't
Really?
be,
That's
yeah,
excellent.
it would be knowing what's too much on your plate.
Okay.
So that I have this, that you spoke about routines earlier. So the routine is trying to get everything done before noon. Because I'm a morning person, of course. You do your affirmations and your meditation and prayers and so forth. And while you have that energy of trying to get everything done before noon, and the incentive is, especially in the summertime, you can go out and enjoy the day.
Yes.
Where that's concerned. So that's sort of the mindset. But then at the same time, if you take on too much, then you end up with the opposite of, maybe, I don't know if the opposite of burnout. What would the opposite of burnout be, Dr. Walker?
What would the opposite of burnout be, you saying?
Yeah, in your opinion, what do you think the opposite of doing too much would be? The opposite of burnout.
Well, you know what? Everything has to have a balance, and I think that's the issue here with procrastination. Is it a priority? Procrastination shows signs it's a lack of priority or lack of prioritizing.
Right.
Right. It's a high end for everyone else to get it done, but somehow it's not that same. So what is the picture here? We don't think that what we're doing is as important. Do we really want to do that which we say we set out to do?
Yes.
Because it's not just enough, especially in business, to have a plan. To say, you know what, I want to do this and I want to accomplish this, but it takes a plan. An action plan doesn't happen without action. And we have to understand, what is the principle here within this? What is the underlying principle? And is that even the sense of choosing business partners? Do they see things? I mean, they want the results, but are they working the same way at the same pace to receive the required set out objective?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes along the lines, you may find out it's not that you have to switch partners. You have to shake hands with the past because you will always be stuck. And the whole goal is to get you unstuck.
That's right.
So every day, affirmations, every day we need to be inspired. We have to understand, is this a priority?
Mm-hmm.
Where is this on the priority scale?
That's very profound. What you've just said, if I could reiterate, it's the same solution to both problems. Prioritizing, because if you put too much on your plate, you have to know what's priority.
Right.
Is it priority to clean all the windowsills? Is it prior? And so, yeah, I try to be a comedian sometimes. But
tell that to my wife.
So it's profound. It's profound because Dr. Walker just said it's the same solution, balance, both procrastination that Tim just said, and that's very much so across the board. A lot of people, have that, especially now with the pandemic, where you have, especially if you have, you're isolated in certain regions more so than others. But in any case, it's the same, right? Because if you have too much on your plate, and obviously not everything is a priority. So that's deep. Thank you, Dr. Walker.
Thank you for the affirmation. It's worthwhile checking out. So you know what? It can't be done. I can't do this right now. You may have certain goals that you said you want to accomplish. Look at the time span. I think the timeline and setting time. I think I'm a person that's wired by time. Okay. So if it's about this time, I will do everything within my day to get it done right then. And I think we have to look at it as a right way, right now approach. If we look at things that we want to get done as a right way, right now, the right way, right now, we would get a lot of things done. And as you said about shaping your day, and the word frame, FRAME, for me is find relevance and meaning every day.
Okay.
From the word frame, find relevance and meaning every day. So today it's framed that, yeah, I should really get this done. But then the next day, no, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. Second thoughts, right? And it's taking the time to think things through, because if things are cloudy, we can't make that decision. Don't make a decision in your life when things are cloudy. Don't make a major decision in your life or business when things are foggy. Sometimes you have to wait it out, ride out the storm. You're not prepared to make a decision. Don't make a decision if you're not sure about buying a house. Take some time to think this out. If you see a house that you like, I want this house. Take some time. Hold on. Maybe not. Take your time. All right. And prioritize. Is it the right time? Right now? Or maybe later? Be courageous enough to make that decision.
Yes. All right. Now, speaking on that, so you're speaking about time, and that is the most important asset that each and every one of us has. And we have to be careful of how we give our time to others. So, Dr. Walker, do you have a set schedule of time that you put forth when dealing with people through your ministry or through your practice? How do you balance that?
I balance it in the sense of when their clients are serious, I'm serious. Okay. Because I can't waste words, counsel, and waste time. Because time taken up is away from my family.
Amen.
Okay.
And that's my number one priority. How good is it to counsel everybody, and I'm not there for my family?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll have certificates on my wall and such, but I won't have credibility.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
And credibility is the key in everything. It's the key in character. It's the key in business models. I mean, we look at politicians these days, and we saw a debate not too long ago, and what was on the line? Credibility.
So true.
No.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
true.
All right, Doc, we are 5 minutes to the hour. I know you have another obligation. So, Christine, I'm going to give you the last question, or anything you would like to say before we close things out for this evening?
There is. I wanted to ask Dr. Walker, in regards to your public speaking. I understand that there's once upon a time there was actually a fear you had of speaking, and you mentioned earlier that you preach. Tell me the transition before we go. How did you? And that's that's a lot of fear for most people, young and old, across the globe, public speaking. But how did you overcome your fear of public speaking?
Great question.
Well, yeah, thanks. Well, here's the thing, Lady Graham. When it comes to speaking, I never wanted to. It wasn't a matter that I couldn't, but I never had a desire to. I want to play guitar. I didn't want to preach. I want to be a cop.
Okay.
But God arrested me and said, "You're going to preach." Now, what makes me? I have no fear in speaking and what have you. And I think besides the fact that I know that God gave me this ability of communication, I believe for people to get over this, if you believe in the content, you cannot go wrong. I realize it's not about me. It's about the content. If the content is true, there's a high probability people will listen to what you're saying because it is true. If you're confident in the content, content overrides diction, content overrides accent, content overrides, style. It's what is said, and that is what I put forth. Once I know it's truth, once I know it's not make believe, it's not me, the individual, it's the medium, which is what I'm presenting.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. And I want to just say that your insight on the men and the optimism versus pessimism, that was very deep. Do you have a program in place? My last question. Do you have a program in place for men to tap into a ministry to sort of, unlock, those things they're hiding away. They're trying to say everything's okay. So do you have a key to unlock that or help them to recognize that they're actually
the model sounds like, looks like, feels like. That's my models. In regards to couples, I have the ABC of marriage, where I go through the whole alphabet of what, from affirmation to X as X-ray to Z as zeroing in, I have that model, the ABCs of marriage. And it's also for couples too, because the whole goal is is for two lives coming as one, and they have to go the same direction. So where are we going to go? Are you going to go by the map? Or are you going to go by the GPS? And if you're fighting for the map is better or the GPS is better, no one's going anywhere. So it's tapping in on where you want to go and coming out with a clear path. It's okay, based on your goals, based on your drives, based on how you present and your comfortability, this is the way to go. So this is how I build my practice, and my practice is built on building lives. They have the keys. I'm just showing that this is the one that's most likely to open the door to where you want to go to. So the clients is very much as involved in it. I may be I'm just the lead in getting them to where they want to go. but they're taking the steps to reach there.
Awesome. Awesome. Wonderful, Doc. Greatly appreciate it there, sir. So at the bottom of your screen, there is the link to connect with Dr. Walker here on Facebook. It's also in the comments section as well. So Dr. Walker, we're just going to ask that you give us a word of encouragement going forward, especially for those entrepreneurs that are looking to get unstuck. So if you could just share a word of inspiration with us all to help us overcome some of those adversities that we may be going through in life and in business.
What you have is greater than what you could ever imagine being seen. That which you feel is not by accident, it's not by chance, it's not by coincidence. God put it in there. And where he guides, he will provide. But you have to be willing to do the work, put the time in, and discover yourself. What is it that makes you tick? What is it that makes you tick off? What makes you want to go even further now than any other time? Is it the right time to go, or should you keep working on an outline to get to where you need to be? You have the answers. Take the time to dig deep, and then you'll see the waterfall that will flow out of you. God bless you.
Awesome.
That's so powerful. That is so powerful and so true.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Walker, we want to thank you so much for coming on board here on the Come Up. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to spend a few minutes with us and, give some real encouraging words and some great insight onto how to better ourselves. So,
Absolutely.
We're going to close things out for this evening. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us here on the Come Up. So please stay tuned and join us next week, same time, same bat station, right here at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the Come Up, on the Rob Mccray Facebook page and also YouTube channel. So on behalf of my co-host, Christine Graham, and Dr. O'Neill Walker, this is Rob Mccray for the Business Building Network. Thanking you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next week on the Come Up. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you very much. All the best, entrepreneur extraordinaire. God richly bless you. And Lady Graham, stay sweet. Stay sweet.
Thank you, Dr. Walker.